that's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And tonight we're here to talk about Blue Storya, the directorial debut of Rapman, which became available on digital on demand May 5th, 2020, courtesy of Paramount.
What?
I wanted to
You can hear my stomach rumbling?
I can hear it.
Oh.
I wanted to start with, now listen up, here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world, and all day and all night and everything he sees is just blue, like him, inside and outside.
That was uncomfortable.
Do you remember that song?
Blue Dabu Diba.
I think it was just called Blue.
Okay.
Hey, that's a Blue Story too.
Yes, it is. I thought of Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins? Is that who's in it?
Tim Robbins.
Whatever.
Wilson. Isn't the Wilson brother in that?
I don't know. Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, Blue Storya is about a group of young men living in South London.
Southeast London.
Southeast
Peckham.
London. Who are involved in gang activity, although there's one, the main character who is like a good guy, Timmy, who's trying to avoid being involved in that. But he's sucked in when his girlfriend is involved in like a gang fight and she's killed. So
this is a simplified version.
well, yeah, I'm trying to give this simplified. So then he, after spending some time in prison, comes back to exact revenge on the gang members responsible for her accidental death.
But the man responsible for her death was previously kind of his like a brother to him.
Well, that was the basic story, so we can get into it. So the main kid, Timmy, he's played by
Stephen Odubola.
So he's like a good guy. He does well in school. He is not a troublemaker. His friends also seem like good kids too, but they're more adjacent to the gang activity. And just through a lot of misunderstandings,
yeah, basically
he gets involved. Yeah.
Well, the night he kind of consecrates his new romance with Leah is when his friend Marco needs him because he gets beaten up, and they're
So Marco is his best friend.
yeah.
And that little girl, what's her name?
Leah.
He's been seeing her for how long? Like 3 months?
At this point, at the point of their first misunderstanding, they just started seeing each other.
That's right. Yeah, and Marco gets mad that Timmy, on the night that he has sex with his girlfriend for the first time, he's upset that like he didn't respond to his text messages. So they get into a big fight, which then like snowballs into basically a gang war. Because the part that was a little confusing to me was Timmy lives in... The area he lives in has a gang.
Yes, but he's not affiliated with the gang where he lives.
But he goes to school in a different area?
Yes, that was my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a little confusing to me, but...
It's basically West Side Story. It's Romeo and Juliet West Side Story for Southeast London. That's what it felt like to me.
But anyway, so now he gets involved with sort of like gang melees, and in one incident there's a big fight that breaks out, and his girlfriend, who at that point he had been seeing for 3 months, she tries to break up the fight, and one of the guys like hits her and she falls back, and apparently the blow to her head killed her.
Yeah. Even though Timmy got hit with
He gets hit with a
slammed with a brick, and he lives.
Timmy goes to jail.
What does Dave Chappelle say? Like a fragile.
She has a fragile spirit.
Sorry, it's not funny. But
Well, from how it looks, like she just falls back.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, she's dead.
I was surprised to understand she died from that. But Timmy goes to jail for 3.5 years.
Marco goes to jail.
Don't they both go to jail?
No.
Oh, that's right. Marco goes to jail for 3.5 years.
And Timmy affiliates himself with his old childhood friends with the gang where he lives.
Literally, it jumps 3 years
Yeah.
later. Now Timmy is like deep into the gangs, but he seems to kind of be like still has some kind of good in him, because he doesn't want. There's like a one scene where like the gang is trying to mess with these young kids, and Timmy's like, no, leave them alone. They're just kids. His main goal is he wants to prepare for when Marco gets out of prison, because he wants to like exact revenge, because he believes that Marco's his best friend, and this misunderstanding and this accidental punch that killed his girlfriend, like he wants revenge.
Yeah.
So he finds him. He ends up it culminates in like a melee that
There's another double crossing for the third act finale. Yeah.
yeah. There's a fire in a truck and or a van. There's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening. It is a rather straightforward, overly simplified story, I think. So Rapman, who signed a big record deal in 2018 with Jay-Z, this is based on a web series he started in 2014.
Called Shiro?
Shiro's Story.
Shiro? Okay. What did I like about the film? I think it looks good.
It looks pretty good.
I think it's well made.
Yeah, the acting's pretty good too.
I think the acting from everyone is strong. I can't even say that it's not good, but the music, because I don't know what the UK hip hop scene is like, so maybe this style of rap is popular. So in that case, I'm sure people will like it. I didn't like it.
Well, it's very.
I thought it was kind of corny, very socially conscious, very on the nose.
Yes.
Like literally. Yeah. So I didn't enjoy the music. Additionally, the music is used as narration. So, what's his name? Rapman?
Yeah.
Rapman is literally, and in some songs, like in the movie, like rapping to the audience.
Yeah.
And literally narrating.
No, well, and then we get a clipped montage of what just happened as he sets.
Like 3 minutes prior, we're getting flashbacks of what happened 3 minutes prior.
Yeah, so I felt like that was wholly unnecessary. But then again, I guess it's what style you like. It reminded me a lot. There's this 2012 film called Ill Manners, directed by Ben Drew, who's a white British rapper, which kind of has some similar elements. Riz Ahmed starred in it. I don't think it ever was. I don't think it was ever released here. But Blue Storya opened in the UK last November, and it made a lot of money, which is why a studio like Paramount was trying to release it in March. But then, the world as we know it ended. So, here it comes on digital.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for fans of that type of music or that music style, this might translate better. I thought it was corny, the musical component of it. The other thing I found corny was the actual story. Primarily, Timmy's devotion to his little girlfriend, who he only knew for 3 months or dated for 3 months. He's going to ruin his life and kill someone else because of...
Kill the man that technically he has more of an intimate relationship with.
And her death it was accidental. It wasn't like the gang members said, we're gonna kill his bitch. She was getting her nose where she should have just let the men fucking fight it out and keep it pushing. But no, she decides to try to break up this fight and... gets her lights knocked out, but...
It did feel very contemporary, especially just watching recently Guy Ritchie's film The Gentleman, which I wasn't a fan of, but kind of the obsession with youths putting... Oh, that was the term they kept using. They kept saying the utes. That I found funny because of my cousin Vinny. But the obsession with putting everything on YouTube... was an underpinning here as it was in The Gentleman to their undoing. Carmen Hip Opera came up a couple times when we were talking about.
So I didn't know anything about this film before I started it, but pretty quickly I realized rap is a big component of it. So I was kind of hoping that it was going to be a musical kind of, because that would have been interesting. Something along the lines of Carmen, a hip opera starring Beyonce and Mekhi Phifer. But it's not.
No, it's not.
It's more serious. I mean, I think it takes itself seriously, and it should. It just, the bones of the story seem so unnecessary. But I guess, the conversation could be that gang violence in general is unnecessary. So why does it matter the reason behind it?
It owes a lot to early 90s American cinema, like Boys in the Hood, Spike Lee, but with knife fights, I guess.
That was also interesting because gun possession is different in the UK. Most of these gang fights involve fist fighting and knives. So it's very violent, but not in a John Wick kind of way. It's just very blunt, realistic violence, which there were several scenes where I was taken aback.
I think I also brought up Poetic Justice because in that film it begins with Janet Jackson's boyfriend getting shot point blank in the head right next to her at a drive-in theater, and drive-ins are also where film is being released. But just kind of the masculine underpinnings, obviously, of gangs. And
what would you give this film?
I think 2.5 out of 5.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Anything else?
No.
All right, bye.
Bye.